I've got one of my zombie wound appliances stuck on and a little bit of Illustrator colour in already, which I've used to map out kind of where my blood's going. I always just do this because it's a little bit easier for me to plan what I'm doing and visualise it as a whole, but it's all going to get covered up with blood anyway. And then I've gone straight in with a scab paste, which is by Fleet Street Bloodworks. This stuff's really nice. As you can kind of tell, it's really thick. I'm using a brush. Sometimes it's a little bit easier to pop in with a spatula. Now I'm using Male Products Permablood, which is another scab. This stuff's great. It looks much lighter in the pot than it will eventually dry, so sometimes you want to speed it up with a hairdryer. But I'm just putting small amounts on where I want a bit more texture to look like the blood is starting to clot. So for my first runny blood, I'm using Rob Smith's. This is the arterial one. His bloods are fantastic. They sit really well on both silicone and on skin without beading. And I've just applied it, and now I'm using a water mister to help it run and streak and sit in a more erratic, layered way. It will just help it look like it's been bleeding for a long time, where some of the layers are transparent and look like they've started to rub off, and then I can have the fresher blood back in over the top. As you can see, I'm just using a tissue to sort of mess it up randomly so it doesn't look like too placed. All these bloods can be freshened up throughout the day with a water mister rather than adding more on top. I've used 3 different runny bloods for this. So the second one is Makeup's Dried Blood in Dark. This is a great blood because it actually dries into a bit of a film, so it looks like a wound has been bleeding for a long time. And then after that, my final one is Fleet Street's Bloodworks Drying Blood in Dark, which I'm just using a brush to place into the wound and let it run out where it wants to. Because all these bloods move really easily just with a wet wipe. If you ever put some on and it's in the wrong place, or you need to break it up more, you can just go in with a wipe and smudge it about. To finish off, I'm just using Illustrator again. I'm using a cut down chip brush that's slightly longer than usual to flick on some blood toned Illustrator, so there's a bit of spatter, and then a really small brush just to dot some extra bits in anywhere I feel like it could use a couple of extra splats. This is just a really small amount of bloods that I use, and some that work really nicely together to give you texture.